So good afternoon. My name is Borek. I come from the WordPress world, which is a bit unusual here, I guess. But we're working on some piece of technology that I believe spans all the CMSs, be it WordPress, Drupal, other systems. We all have some common issues in our platforms that we try to solve in one way, and I would like to introduce it to you. It's called VersionPress. So obviously it's about version control and WordPress. In your space, it would be something like, I don't know, VersionPal. I don't know. Maybe someone will create VersionPal one day. So I'm going to describe the idea, show you how it works, how it looks, and then what are the toughest challenges we're solving there. Also, what I've learned from your colleague is that you have many other approaches to this problem. This is certainly not the only one. There are many. Every has its pros and cons. So this is just one possible approach that we're taking with VersionPress. I would be very happy to hear about alternatives maybe afterwards if you know of some. So the first slide is generally WordPress is quite nice, which I'm not sure you will agree here, but on WordPress conferences they usually agree. Because it's free, open source, it's simple to use, it has many plugins, great community. Many things are great about that system. I guess same could be said about Drupal. But there are some core issues with the platform that has always been bothering me personally and are a big challenge to many people. So for instance, if I do something on the site, there is no easy way to take that action back. So you can imagine if you were writing in Microsoft Word or doing some computation in Excel and there was no undo button. Can you imagine that doing formatting, creating text, deleting text, and not having that undo button? It's just, I cannot imagine that. I would be scared to do any change. I would always need to maintain another copy where I could copy from. It will be impossible user experience. So this is what the content management systems are today. Usually they provide you a nice graphical user interface, web interface, where you go and click delete post, and it will remove a line from the database, and that's it. If you made it by mistake or your client made it by mistake, there's no easy way to undo that action. Also related to this, I'm historically a developer. I'm not even that much of a WordPress guy. I really am mostly a developer who had some WordPress blogs and smaller sites for family members, etc. So I'm not that familiar with WordPress, but what was bothering me is when the project was plain text, like some coding work, I could version control it in Git and I could push it to GitHub, pull to another computer. I knew how to merge work from other people, and suddenly in something that should be easy, like WordPress site, it should be clickety-click and it's all simple. It wasn't simple because I didn't know how I can create some work on this laptop, then come home, continue on my home computer. It really felt difficult. So I started asking more proficient WordPress users how they do this. And they didn't have good answers. Everyone I talked to was struggling with this, seriously struggling. So there are some workarounds like keeping frequent backups. So if something goes wrong, someone does something stupid, or some upgrade breaks the site, they at least have some backup. It might be 1 week old, you lose some data, but at least there is something. So or if you are going to merge work from two people, you can, for example, take notes on paper. I've updated the theme, I've created this piece of content, I've changed this piece of configuration, and then basically manually redo it on the other environment, which is crazy. So really, what's hard about it, what makes all those CMSs, both WordPress and Drupal and Joomla, anyone, what makes it hard, because it's hard to merge databases, basically. It's easy to create a clone of the site, but this is really easy. Basically, you just copy the database, you copy the files, and you have another instance of the site. But then, as you do some work in the main line, which might be production, this might be some temporary staging environment, and then after a week or two, you want to combine that again. And that is really, really hard. So what's the solution outside of our content management systems? it's mostly Git. Git does everything. It has good branching, good merging. It has workflows. There, like GitHub is an amazing service for managing teamwork. So version control solves this. I personally like, when I started working on VersionPress, you start seeing version control everywhere. Like Wikipedia is a great example of a site that could not exist without version control. Like if you gave all the people around the world the ability to edit posts without keeping the previous versions, it just wouldn't work. It would break down completely. So the simple concept, and the concept is really simple. I can explain it to my mother, which is not that common, but it is really simple. Like every time something changes, you create a new revision. That's it. There's nothing more to it. And it enables all the amazing things like Apple Time Machine. The whole open source development, our systems, Drupal or WordPress, could not exist without these collaborative platforms, the ability to work concurrently on things and then merge the work together. So I already said why Git plus WordPress and plus Drupal or plus Joomla is hard. It's because of this thing, which is database. So that's what we're trying to solve with VersionPress, and I'll speak about how. So back in 2013, we created the first commit, which is custom database file and bootstrap file. I don't know, it's quite a long time ago. Since then, it's already 3 years, and I feel like we're just beginning. The problem is so hard that it will take a lot of time. There are like other attempts, other teams trying to solve this, and it's just not that easy. So it started 3 years ago, and the core idea was to approach WordPress sites as if they were just plain software projects, plain text. So if you didn't have database, our goal is to work with the project as if it was an absolutely standard software project. So you could push to GitHub, merge things from multiple team members, etc. So from the user perspective, we want to provide undo. Like every time we change something, we want that to be undoable, which is basically like returning to the previous commit in Git. We want to provide merging of two sites, which includes databases. And we want to be able to work on the site in a team concurrently. Everyone pushes to GitHub and resolves conflicts, merges, as if it was like a software project. So I'll show you how it works. I should have a simple WordPress site here. So this is done. We've recently released version 4.0 alpha. It is pretty much an alpha version, so I hope this works. But the core should, hopefully. So I've installed VersionPress as a standard plugin. You have modules, I believe. We have plugins. So it's not a completely different system. It's a plugin to VersionPress, which provides user interface, and it provides some core functionality behind the scenes. I've just activated it. And here I will see a table with the changes. Can you see it, or should I maybe? Is that OK? Yeah. And any change I do, even dismissing this panel, which is a change to the site. I've changed some state of the site. So it created a new state for me. Like it recorded this change. It doesn't have a very good description. It created user meta with some welcome panel, whatever. But it tracked that it changed. And whatever I do, it will track it. So for example, I have some sample content here. I can remove the page. This is undoable in WordPress. You can click undo. But once you trash it, if you go here and delete permanently and do this by mistake, there is no way back. So now this really is deleted. I can change some settings. Like, yeah, this is sad because we're on the Drupal conference, right? And when I return back, I just didn't need to worry about VersionPress. It just worked behind the scenes, and it tracked all the changes for me. So then I can go here, and yeah, here you can see I have moved the page to the trash. Then I have deleted it. This is strange because I didn't change any language options, but it turns out WordPress does a lot of garbage behind the scenes. So a part of changing blog name and blog description, which is what I've really done, it also changed some random setting, which is unfortunate, but you know, these systems are not very polished internally. They are polished on the user interface, but are doing certain things that might not be that great. We should, by the way, we should prioritize and we should display blog name and blog description first. It's basically our bug, but yeah, WordPress doesn't make it easy for us. So if I wanted to undo this, I could. Hopefully this WP length doesn't make us any problems. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that the title is back to version press test. The both settings are undone. This is back to what it was. So this is basically the undo for the end user. Of course, because it created just another state in the commits repository, I can even undo the undo. No problem with that, so it should take us back to the state where I've updated the title. Yeah, Drupal rocks. All seems good. So this is like the very basic, and I can show you in the console. This is my site. You can see that it is version control in Git. I can run any command on it. There's just really no custom magic. It's plain Git repository that I can push to GitHub, no problem. So this is like if I have only a single site, but what is probably more interesting to me when I want to do staging, when I want to clone the site to another environment, then do some work concurrently and then merge it back, because that's what is hard. So currently we don't have a web UI for this. It needs to be done from the console, and it works like this. WordPress has some CLI to it, so Drush, I believe, is what you have in Drupal, so this is similar. We implemented our own command, so this WP is WordPress, then VP is version press, then we clone the site and give it a name. I'll give it the name staging. This might take a while, first because I'm on Windows, and Windows have a really slow file system. And also because it basically creates a copy of every file and database line, so it will take a time. It's just the nature of it. Hopefully it will not be that long.
How do you store the information? In what format?
Yeah, so files are just files, as you see them on the disk.
SQL commands?
No. That's what people do when they're lazy. Like SQL format is not mergeable. Yeah, so that's probably the core of the magic that we do when I visit.
So you're swapping out the normal SQL storage in WordPress for just the file system?
Also no, but it's still database, but we observe the important changes. Not all changes are important, like caching database queries not important, but if we change content that is important, we track it, we copy the data to our format that is diff-friendly and merge-friendly, so I'll show you in a second. We have this folder called VPDB, and in that, basically, every table is represented by a folder, and every database row is represented by a small ini file. Ini is not cool. We'll probably change the extension because. Sorry?
Can you open a file?
Yes. I'll probably do some content that is more revealing posts. I don't have that many posts, but here is one. Yeah, so it's quite simple. No big deal, but this is really diff-friendly. So if you compare two posts that only changed in some row, and on the other environment you change another row, it will just merge fine, which is the point. If you
How do you generate the unique identifier?
Yeah, that's the hardest part. Basically, whenever we see integer, it's on one of my slides, but it's the biggest enemy. Integers are the problem, because if you have same post ID, like 10, on 2 environments. You don't really know, are they the same 10s or are they the different posts? So for every post, we generate this unique ID and keep a mapping between the natural integer and this ugly number. But if we have this, we are really sure, if we see this identifier across environments, we are sure it's the same content.
Thank you. Yeah. Does it take configuration and content differently?
No.
Or everything is open?
Yes, WordPress sort of confuses these two things because content is obviously in the database, but also configuration options like what you would probably keep in some text files in Drupal, they also store sometimes in database, sometimes in files. It's really just a huge mess, but because we version control the site as a whole, it's always there. It's either in this ini format, if it's the database, or if it's a file, we just commit the file. So
when you make a change, you want to roll back a change, then you just take whatever the snapshot was on disk and write that back into the database.
Exactly. Yeah, VersionPress is like a glue between the database and this storage format. So after you roll back, first Git does the rollback of the text file, and second we run some command on it which will update the database to reflect the states of this VPDB, of this folder. So this is like a complete representation of all the important things in the database. You will not find caching crap there, but all the important things are here.
By default, the whole site is presented there. So it is possible to just wipe out the base and rebuild the completely same site.
It is possible. It is also quite risky because sometimes something seems like a file system only operation. For example, installing plugin. It seems like you're uploading a zip file and committing some files, but also it does some small change in the database. So really it should be like hand in hand. We don't really want to separate database from it. It's possible, but it will probably lead to some inconsistent states, which you don't want. Now, if you return to some state or undo some change, you're guaranteed to be fine because we track everything. Yes. Yes.
Is still the same.
Yes, I'll show you. I'll show you. This staging example is it's done. So it created this simple command created a new completely separate staging site. Sorry. So when I go to localhost/staging, I have a new site. I can do whatever here. For example, I'll create a new content. Publish this. And I'll also do some change in appearance so that we have some visual clue that something truly is going on. So here, let's change the background to something very nice. So here, this is my production site. It's still black, and it doesn't have the new post. This is my staging site, which has some content updates, and it has some theme updates. Also, I'll create a new post in production, which is the problematic scenario, because these two posts will get the same integer, like 2 something. So traditionally, if you were going to merge those two sites, you as a human being would need to decide, is this the same post? You would probably look at the content, are they similar enough? Probably it's the same, or you just took notes to some paper, and you would need to manually merge those two things. But here, let's just try. So I'll just show the front end. This has the live post and hello world, and staging has staging post and hello world. And now I can, similarly to Git, I can pull changes from staging. This should be fast because all the sites are already cloned. So it only transfers the minimum difference. And now when I refresh live site, it is yellow, which is the easy part. But also it understood that the two different posts with the same ID are really different, and it merged them without a conflict. If it was a conflicting situation, for example, I would change this text on both environments, it should be a conflict. So it's also important that it throws a conflict when there truly is. So yeah, if I update it, for example, this title or whatever, to competing values on those two environments, I would get a merge conflict. As with Git. Sorry? Yes. So now they are not same because this staging lags the live post. I could push to it. So I could push to staging, which transfers the merge commit back to. So even this staging site should now have this live post. So
there's no branching within a site, but you just have multiple instances.
Yeah, currently it's just clones, which technically from Git's point of view is branching. It's just origin/master versus local master. It's two different branches with the same master name. But yeah, you can imagine branching very similarly. And now now the history will look like in our user interface. You will see, probably expectedly, that first we do visualize that certain changes come from certain environments. And yeah, similar to some Git tools, you can visualize the history when the branching happened, when the merging happened. So literally just a Git client enhanced of WordPress database, sort of. Okay.
What happens if there is a conflict?
Sorry?
What happens if there is a conflict?
You need to resolve it in Git. So you would currently drop down to console and resolve the conflict exactly as if it was just Git, and then you run the command that synchronizes the database. So first you resolve the conflict on the file system, then you run a command which is apply changes again, apply changes, which takes the file and mirrors it to database.
Is it possible to exclude, for example, content from versioning?
Yes, you can like git ignore it basically. So you can git ignore the whole database, but it's more complicated than that. Like it's difficult to say.
Just divide like individual because to just have version configuration and articles.
Yeah. Probably. It depends. Like uploading an image is certainly a file system change. There is a new image. Plus WordPress creates a new post for it, database change. And also sets some meta information about it, how large the image is. So if you don't version control database, then you clone the repository to some other computer. You try to restore it. It's not perfect restore. It's just some weird state that some information is there, some isn't. So we do not recommend that. But yeah, there is quite a bit of demand. Many people think that content shouldn't belong in Git, and it's right. Yeah, it's correct thinking. But it also introduces a whole new set of problems. How do you ensure consistency of the site?
For example, comments. Somebody write a comment to some post.
Yeah.
Does it make you?
Yeah. Exactly. And if you undo something, for example, you're trying to return back a post for which a user no longer exists, it shouldn't work because it will get your site to a broken state. So you need to check. You need to really. What's difficult about VersionPress? You need to understand the database on the semantic level. Like we need to train VersionPress how the data structure looks. What's the logical links between that, and enforce it. So that's what hard. Like to create Git, Linus was able to create it over a weekend, maybe like the plain Git or basics of Git. Well, this is a much harder problem because you need to understand the site, and if you install a new plugin, you also need to understand the plugin's data. And typically, WordPress has 10 to 20 plugins with certain combinations. So it's like it's immensely difficult. But this behaves like it's an idealistic scenario. We will be there in 2-3 years. I don't know. It will work for every site. Right now, it works for 20% WordPress sites. Of course, it will take time to get to 100%, but yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So we've run out of time. I have some more slides, but I don't think there is no need to show them. So yes, thank you. If you have any questions, just catch me. I will probably not be here for the after party, unfortunately. So if you want to discuss something, this would be the right moment. I will be very happy to talk to you. Thank you.